Welcome to week 3 of the 3-part webinar series, Mental Health Matters. The first week, we explained about mental health and how to cool down and maintain a cool mental health temperature. Week 2, we explained how to reclaim your focus when the pandemic hijacked your brain's attention. Today, we are going to discuss all things resilience. To those who have joined us for weeks 1 and 2 in the series, welcome back. And to those who are joining us for the first time, we are glad you are here. As we begin, think of all that you accomplished during the pandemic. Did you learn a new skill? Did you perfect the most delicious recipe? Did you master technology and use it to your benefit? What did you accomplish during the pandemic? And how do you feel as you reflect on what you accomplished this past year? Great? Me too. By focusing on your accomplishments, you unlocked your resilience. Hello, I'm Jennifer Kalis, wellness nurse educator and national board certified health and wellness coach. Like you, my resilience has been challenged during these unparalleled times, and resilience helps no matter what challenges have come your way. I am eager to share with you what I have learned about resilience as you navigate your way out of the pandemic. I invite you to use your imagination for a moment. Imagine what it's like to be standing next to a swinging punching bag that repeatedly hits you because you are without boxing gloves and skills to respond and protect yourself. This is a threatening experience. And just like this swinging punching bag, the effects and changes caused by the pandemic have repeatedly hit all of us. Without protection and skills to respond to the hit, it is a threatening experience. However, with protection and skills, it can be a different experience. Have you ever heard the story of another and thought to yourself, wow, I can't believe they act the way they do after experiencing trauma, challenge, and unyielding obstacles? Well, that individual had what we call resilience. They were hit, but not knocked down, surrounded by troubles, but not demoralized, perplexed, but not driven to despair. Now, I would like to introduce you to Pam. She's a mother, wife, daughter, aunt, and friend. In March 2020, in addition to the intense societal shift caused by COVID-19, Pam's husband was diagnosed with cancer, and they will need to manage this for the rest of his life. Pam's father had a flare-up of his chronic condition, which rendered him homebound from pain and the pandemic. Her mother-in-law, with whom she was incredibly close, passed away suddenly. She encountered crisis after crisis. What did Pam do? Pam leaned into the discomfort. She picked up yoga before the pandemic and then prioritized a reasonable daily yoga practice, which calmed her mind and strengthened her body. She leaned on her friends and family for support, chatting about the fond memories of her mother-in-law, troubleshooting challenges regarding her husband's and father's care with friends. She built rapport with her medical providers and wisely advocated for them. She recognized when her load was too heavy to carry alone and sought the help of a mental health professional. Consequently, she learned coping strategies, including compartmentalizing and self-care. Talking with Pam, you would never suspect that anything was particularly wrong, as she had a cheerful demeanor, continued to help out friends and family, and enjoyed time to herself, knitting, cooking, and enjoying a juicy TV series. She was surrounded by trouble, and she was surrounded with support, intrapersonal, interpersonal, and professional. She took things in stride and was able to bounce back when the going got tough. Pam was her most resilient self. Resilience, per the Positive Psychology website, is the developable capacity to rebound or bounce back from adversity, conflict, and failure, or even positive events, progress, and increased responsibility. While researchers were asked to discuss the nature of resilience, they noted it is complex. It can have a different meaning between people, companies, cultures, and society. They also agreed that people could be more resilient at one point in their lives and less during another, and that they may be more resilient in some aspects of their lives than others. Next, let's look at the brain and resilience. In weeks 1 and 2, you learned how your mental health and your attention is linked to the relationship between your amygdala and prefrontal cortex. Guess what? The relationship between your amygdala, and prefrontal cortex also relates to your resilience. Remember the hand as referred to in previous week? With your fingers extended straight and your thumb folded across your palm, your thumb represents your amygdala, the part of your brain that serves you in processing your emotions. This is the almond-shaped pink image on the left. When your sense of physical or emotional safety or your ability to protect the future is threatened, like during the pandemic, the amygdala activates an emotional response to the perceived threat. You have flipped your lid. By the way, threats we all face can be understood by the acronym SCARF. I will explain these in just a few minutes. Next, with your thumb across your palm and your fingers wrapped over top of your thumb, your fingers represent your prefrontal cortex. This is the orange image on the right. This hand gesture demonstrates the inhibition of the amygdala by engaging the prefrontal cortex, or integration. According to Dr. Goleman, Harvard graduate, psychologist, and internationally recognized science journalist, you can train and strengthen your prefrontal cortex with cognitive exercise. Exercising the prefrontal cortex covers a whole range of things that you can do, like practicing self-awareness and self-regulation to unlock your most resilient self. Let's look at what it takes to induce brain integration and unlock your most resilient self. So, what does it take to be resilient? We asked ourselves this very question as we prepared this webinar for you. As mentioned earlier, being resilient looks different for many, and researchers agree that being resilient is complex. Today, we are pleased to have the opportunity to share with you 4 major elements of resilience. We want to ensure that you have the keys necessary to unlock your most resilient self. In the midst of such a time of grief, financial struggle, health challenges, change, and fear, using your resilience is essential as it helps you move through the challenges and grow as an individual. The foundation of resilience, and the first of the 4 keys, is self-awareness. Building off of self-awareness is self-regulation. Recognizing a hijacked amygdala and then doing something about it. The third key is something that engages your prefrontal cortex, specifically the left prefrontal cortex. That's on the left side of your forehead. You can touch that. And then it's gratitude. Lastly, utilizing your foundation of self-awareness, practicing self-regulation, and subsequently gratitude, we will culminate in a thought-provoking discussion on your social connection, namely how empathy helps you and the profound benefits of healthy relationships. First, let's discuss the foundation of unlocking your most resilient self, self-awareness. You receive tragic news, the actions of another deeply disturb you, an event occurs that threatens your sense of safety and security. The survival response of your amygdala causes you to flip your lid. You react instead of respond. Why? Because you felt threatened. Needless to say, there are many different threats that can cause you to flip your lid, but socially, they all come from 5 domains. Think SCARF. The first of the 5 domains is status. When your status is threatened, your sense of importance to others is threatened. In a primal sense, this means that your survival is threatened. Those whose jobs were impacted by the coronavirus may have experienced a threat to the S of their scarf. The second of the 5 domains is certainty. You like to know what is up ahead in your future. This helps you to plan and prepare. And as humans, we make thousands of predictions throughout the day. How we will feel after we eat a certain food, how our boss is going to respond to an idea that we have, or how life will be different once society opens up. Well, your certainty and your ability to predict what will happen in the future went out the window when society shut down due to COVID-19. The third of the 5 domains is autonomy. Autonomy is your sense of control over events. I'm sure you can think of many ways that your autonomy was threatened by the virus. The fourth of the domains is relatedness. When your sense of relatedness is threatened, your sense of belonging and safety within your circle is threatened. I know I'm not the only one with relatives who have polarizing political views. When political differences get in the way of your social connections, you feel threatened. Other examples of when your relatedness is threatened is when you experience loneliness and isolation. Lastly, the fifth domain is fairness. When experiences just don't seem fair, your amygdala can be hijacked by the perceived threat. Again, a lack of equality or justice can cause you to feel threatened. So I challenge you, the next time you notice strong emotions, ask yourself which domain of SCARF is threatened and why is it threatened? Self-awareness helps you to understand when you're feeling threatened so you can muster what it takes to thoughtfully respond to a situation at hand and practice resilience. This is the foundation to unlock your most resilient self. Building off of self-awareness, when the elements of your SCARF are threatened and your amygdala is hijacked, self-regulation exercises your prefrontal cortex and sets the stage to respond rather than react. Emotional intelligence expert Daniel Goleman talks about self-regulation as follows: handling your distress emotions in effective ways so they don't cripple you. They don't get in the way of what you're doing, yet attuning to them so you can learn what you must. It is also handling positive emotions, being enthused about what you are doing or aligning your passions with your actions. He notes that every emotion has a function, and by definition, by practicing self-awareness, there's a window of opportunity to keep disruptive emotions in check, marshal the good emotions, and tune into others with gratitude and empathy. Now, there are many scenarios when there is potential for the amygdala to be hijacked and overshadow the prefrontal cortex. This potential increases exponentially when you are tired, overworked, hungry, carrying increased responsibilities, or alone. The scenario depicted on the slide between the adult and child is just one example of an opportunity for self-regulation that happens when we lose our sense of control over events. Think about the outcomes of the adult reacting versus responding. The adult, being self-aware and practicing self-regulation, has the opportunity to reset their baseline to calm. One could say self-awareness is listening to the rattling lid before it flips. Frankly speaking, it's not that you and I won't be triggered or threatened, but with self-awareness and self-regulation, it is possible to make informed decisions, to listen well, and to skillfully respond to threatening events and unlock your most resilient self. Next, I invite you to take a moment and think about a time this week that you felt threatened. Name the threat based on SCARF. Ask yourself, what was threatened? Why did I feel that way? How did I respond? Did I practice self-regulation? Or did I flip my lid? And if so, how can I exercise my prefrontal cortex and think about how I might respond differently in the future? Dr. Alex Kalb states, you can't control other people. You can't control the past. You can't control what random, unhelpful thoughts pop into your head, but you can control what you do next. Essentially, the only things you can control are your actions in the present moment. In other words, self-regulation. The next skill to unlock your most resilient self is gratitude. We understand it can be easy to get lost in the day-to-day motions of your new routines. Changes to your workflow, changes to your children's education, changes to how you enjoy your leisure time. However, when you add a regular gratitude practice into your new routines, you can experience the multiple benefits of thankful appreciation and unlock your most resilient self. Gratitude recognizes there are sources of goodness outside of yourself. You are aware that other people, or even higher powers, if you're of a spiritual mindset, give you many gifts. Dr. Alex Korb mentions in his book, The Upward Spiral, gratitude is a state of mind. At its most basic level, it is simply reflecting on the good things in your life. It can be practiced in a variety of settings for brief moments or longer. And gratitude is also reflecting on the things which do not necessarily seem good at the time, but are still a part of who you are and a part of life. When things are overwhelming and out of your control, a gratitude practice is a key to unlock your most resilient self. It may appear elusive, and it may be challenging to find the things you're grateful for on difficult days. However, gratitude is transformational. A study by Robert Emmons at the University of California, Davis, and Mike McCullough at the University of Miami examined the impact of keeping a gratitude journal. There were 3 groups of participants. Group 1 wrote about daily hassles or things that displeased them. Group 2 wrote about events that affected them during the week with no particular emphasis. And Group 3, they wrote about what they were thankful for. After 10 weeks, those who wrote about gratitude were more optimistic, felt better about their lives, as well as exercised more. They rewired their brain. So what does this mean for you? Think to yourself, what do you commit your time to daily? Is there opportunity to give the gratitude circuit in your brain a workout? Maybe replacing a social media scrolling session with a gratitude practice. Maybe reflecting on things and people you're grateful for while making your morning cup of coffee. Or asking your children or significant other what they're grateful for during dinner or at bedtime. You might even consider writing a letter to someone explaining how they have made a difference in your life and why you are grateful for them. And if possible, read it to them. It's arguably one of the strongest happiness practices out there in the scientific literature. And lastly, maybe it's as simple as hanging a large poster board in your kitchen or living room or someone's bedroom. Anyone, anytime can write down what they are grateful for. Dr. Emmons also sees gratitude as relationship strengthening because it requires you to see how you have been supported and affirmed by other people. Next, I will explain the importance of social connections and resilience. You built the foundation of resilience with your self-awareness and self-regulation so you can avoid flipping your lid. Next, you learned the transformational practice of gratitude. Now it's time to discuss your social connections. In terms of your relationships with people, empathy is recognizing the emotions of others, thinking about and sensing the thoughts and feelings of others. While self-awareness and self-regulation involve looking inward, empathy is looking outward and understanding and appreciating others. How frustrating is it when someone doesn't understand where you're coming from? This could very well be a threat to the relatedness component of your scarf. However, when others step into your shoes and see things from your perspective, you feel heard, appreciated, and safe. As you clear away the internal clutter of your brain, you are able to focus on your social connections. It is important to consider your sense of attention and focus so you notice facial expressions and body language to help you better understand the emotions of others. Sure, planning for the future and learning from the past are important, but when you're practicing empathy to strengthen your social connections and unlock your most resilient self, committing your thoughts to the future and past distract you from practicing empathy. When you exercise self-awareness, self-regulation, gratitude, and empathy, your social connections are enhanced. Your social relationships provide you with support and encouragement during times of need, just like it did for Pam at the start of this presentation in that story. This subsequently unlocks your most resilient self, again, like it did for Pam. So now that you have learned about the value of empathy on your resilience, next we'll discuss healthy relationships. As a human being, you are a social creature. You may enjoy video chatting with relatives who live far away. You may enjoy spending time with your family and friends. You may like to participate in group activities such as sports, religion, or social clubs. Studies continue to highlight the health-promoting, fulfilling nature of strong relationships. Healthy connections enhance your health, abolish loneliness, and support longevity. Your healthy relationships are the final key to unlocking your most resilient self. I've experienced this personally and professionally. During the last year of challenging times, I heard all kinds of stories from friends, relatives, patients, and colleagues supporting one another. For example, by delivering groceries, donating donations to help a family in need, and making time for conversations to boost the spirits of loved ones. Your social connections with others are one of the most accessible, effective strategies to enhance your resilience. And I invite you to consider how your healthy connections can enhance your resilience. The following are ways we have seen others build healthy relationships and develop strong bonds, thereby unlocking their resilience. You'll enjoy hearing about them. Some of them Employers are thanking their employees for a job well done. Neighbors are helping neighbors with yard work. Families and friends are supporting loved ones when they have contracted COVID-19. Colleagues are thanking each other for support on a project. Friends are sending gifts through online shopping to friends. And families are driving by, doing a surprise drive-by for someone's birthday. And friends are texting while they're watching the same sporting event or movie. Here is the Well-Being and Mental Health Toolkit. If you attended previous presentations, this will look familiar. If not, you will find the toolkit is filled with practical tips and tools to cool down a mental health temperature, to focus your attention, as well as to unlock your most resilient self. Considering the neuroscience, all these tools quiet down the amygdala and engage the prefrontal cortex. Let's quickly review these evidence-based tools. There are many self-care tools to care for your brain: exercise, healthy eating, adequate sleep, keeping regular routine, and evaluating your exposure to mass media, to name a few. Cleveland Clinic experts agree that if anyone is experiencing ongoing or intensifying distress and has tried one or more of the self-care remedies and hasn't found relief, it is time to seek professional help. The mental health crisis resources are 911, your local emergency department, texting CONNECT to 741-741, and the Suicide Prevention Helpline at 1-800-273-8255. When you want to focus your vulnerable attention, the 4Ms offer you a variety of tools to choose from: mindfulness, movement, mastery, and meaningful engagement. And when you practice self-awareness, self-regulation, gratitude, and strengthen your social connections, you unlock your most resilient self. It's unreasonable to expect a life free from challenge, struggle, and tribulations. However, even in the face of adversity, you can integrate your amygdala and prefrontal cortex so they work harmoniously. You can enjoy a sense of calm, feel triggered less often, with less intensity, and enjoy a quicker recovery in the midst of trying times. When you enjoy your healthy relationships, your amygdala is quieted down and your prefrontal cortex is engaged. With strong relationships, you have the capacity to rebound or bounce back from adversity, conflict, and failure, or even positive events, progress, and increased responsibility. Again, ways to unlock your most resilient self. Today, I invite you to set a SMART goal for yourself related to unlocking your most resilient self. SMART goals highlight areas of behavior that you desire to change, have the ability to change, and identify a need or reason to change. They highlight a vision you create for yourself: resilient, focused, and healthy. Think of the skills that are available to you to unlock your most resilient self. How will you exercise your brain? Similar to exercising your body. And the more you exercise your brain and practice the skills of self-awareness, self-regulation, gratitude, and connecting to others, the stronger your resilient neural pathways will become. Which one of these resources matters to you, energizes you, interests you, or motivates you? Then take a general idea, such as I want to be more empathetic and resilient, and use the SMART goals framework to think through all the details of the goal to ensure the steps toward change yield a high impact. Instead of a vague goal, a SMART goal can be crafted to this: I will ask my children and partner what has been challenging or exciting for them, as well as asking them what are they grateful for 1 to 2 times a week for 4 weeks. I will focus my attention and listen when they are answering their questions, and I will express my thankful appreciation for each of them. Now, just a reminder, you can find a SMART Goals worksheet on Connect Care 3's website under the Resources tab. Now, let's recap. The 4 heads depicted on the slide demonstrate the mental health continuum, as well as the transformation that occurs as the amygdala is quieted and your prefrontal cortex is engaged. Your attention is focused and you're feeling more resilient than ever before. The head on the furthest left depicts someone with a very high mental health temperature, along with scattered, chaotic thoughts. It is outside of this person's capacity to exercise their resilience. The head on the furthest right is experiencing a cool mental health temperature, a clear mind, and focused attention. This person is able to bounce back no matter the challenge or celebration. They are resilient. Practicing self care, connecting with a professional when necessary, challenging yourself through the 4 M's and the keys to unlock your most resilient self can cause a shift in your mind from scattered to focused, a shift in your feelings from helpless to hopeful, and a shift from fear and uncertainty to confidence and security in that you can manage whatever comes your way. Like you, others around the globe have practiced resilience. Throughout 2020, researchers called people across nearly 100 countries to ask how they were doing. Results are shared in the 2021 World Happiness Report, which might seem like a misnomer given all the anxiety, grief, and general unhappiness that we experienced last year. But their survey told a surprising story, one of almost astonishing resilience, according to the report. Yes, we experienced more sadness, worry, and stress in 2020 than in previous years. However, on average, there was no change in our positive feelings or our satisfaction with life. It was determined that one of the reasons why we showed so much resilience may have been the trust that many people have in their local communities. To gauge that trust, researchers asked people around the world whether they believed their lost wallet would be returned. This year, our sense of trust was deepened when we saw the young helping the old, people coming together online for support, and others creating care packages for those in need. Our trust in each other seems to have been crucial in weathering this crisis, both as individuals and as societies. As we conclude, it is our hope that not only has the series been informative, but it has also nudged you towards practical steps to maintain a cool mental health temperature, to focus your attention, and to unlock your most resilient self. We hope that you personally experienced a generative aha moment, chock full with the thrill of optimism. And when you practice your desired change of mind or behavior, that you feel like you are on top of the mountain. Granted, it takes energy, dedication, hard work, and commitment to get to the top of the mountain. But as Jean, my colleague, stated, there's nothing better than seeing the world from the top of a mountain. So thank you for joining us for the Mental Health Matters mini-series. Enjoy your integrated brain and strong mind.